Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Legion After Show here at the Stream.tv. I am Brooke Bergstaller, and I am so delighted to introduce you to my co-host tonight. We have Liz Fenning, of course, over here, beautiful blonde. And then we've got Ray Holdridge in the house.
That's
What
right.
up?
My one goal is to make Liz snort tonight with laughter.
Snort.
That's my goal.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure where you were going with that snort. What? We can never be sure,
I like
can we?
that too.
Okay, so amazing episode. Let's get it popping, y'all. So
we're covering chapters 2 and 3.
yeah, covering chapters 2 and 3. So don't worry, you guys. We're gonna like dabble into everything. But what were your thoughts, just generally? What were your thoughts about the third episode?
I think we're understanding David a lot more as a character, and I think by going through his memory, we understand a lot more about what's going on in his present, particularly about his capabilities as a mutant.
Love that. And Ray?
Yeah, no, what I'm finding so fascinating with this show is just the style that they're telling this story. And that's what's really hooking me, and my mind is still being blown and trying to follow along with what exactly am I seeing, what's real, what isn't.
I'm so confused.
And they're like in a fun way, not in a really overtly frustrating way, which I think can happen with sometimes when shows are really trying to push that, oh, this is such a deep thinker, and let's really get into the twists and turns. No, this is fun. I'm enjoying the mystery of what this story is about, of going into the psyche of this character, and it's really fun and fascinating. Like Liz said, discovering how many powers he might actually have. We learned another one today that he has, but also more of his history, more of where he came from, his connection with all his other people, all the rest of the team. So it was a great episode. I thought it was very exciting.
Oh my gosh, Ray obviously loves Legion.
Obviously, I like.
I love it. Yeah, that episode was super crazy. I'm still like, I'm warming myself up to being okay with being freaked out this much by a show. I definitely leave feeling a little bit anxious, like my armpits are sweating more than they normally do, but I'm managing it, digesting it. So let's break down episode 3 and just like if anything from episode 2 comes up, then fair game. But starting with his childhood memories. So we got to look into David's, youth, into his upbringing, which in part seemed very pleasant. Like it seemed like he had a really beautiful relationship with his mom, but I don't know what the hell was going on with his dad and the angriest boy in the world.
Yes. Particularly the Hitler moment for the angriest boy in the world. And the fact that at one moment we don't know if his dad kind of looks like him. It's the only moment we see the dad, and he's off and out of focus. So it's also the question of who the angriest little boy in the world is. The mention of the killing of the mom. There's a lot of stuff going on with that character.
I know. So what do you think about, who do you think killed Mom? You think Mom's dead? We think Mom's dead.
We think Mom's dead.
Mom's dead. Mom's dead. But who killed Mom?
Right, and that's the whole idea. I think we follow this story, we see it in the memories. You start to really suspect that it's connected with the angriest boy in the world, but also this yellow-eyed demon is constantly there. And honestly, I have a theory that I think, if anything, this yellow-eyed demon is actually trying to protect David from his own memories and the things that he committed. In some way, because every time, and in this episode especially, when they went back into his memories and they started going to a very painful, angry moment with David, who appeared? The yellow-eyed demon, so they couldn't see it, so he couldn't re-experience it, and they pushed him back out. And every time they tried to move back into the memory, they weren't allowed to do it. When they start going back then into the memory of Mother dying, and the angry boy shows up, but here comes the yellow-eyed demon again, now preventing. Who's the doctor? Dr. Bird, from investigating further into the angry boy's history and that story and what that memory is. So, and he appears, and then they're out of the memory again.
I'm totally gonna have a differing opinion with you here, especially because I feel like the thing with Legion is all the different personalities or personas in there are usually acting independently. That's why he has no control over them. So I still, my money is still that it's Karami. Or that it's a mojo-looking Shadow King that's affecting things. And I think the real question that this episode leaves is the angriest little boy a different entity than the yellow-eyed demon?
Oh, no, I definitely think so, because we were introduced to the yellow-eyed demon first.
Yeah.
We saw him first, but I have a different idea than both of you guys. I think the yellow-eyed demon is actually a giant Donald Trump thumb, and he's reminding a young David, a middle-aged David, a 25-year-old David, this is reality, son. This is it. So moving on to talk about the team. So we're starting to see this more robust team of mutants, and maybe not mutants, because is Dr. Bird a mutant? But he's starting to develop his relationships with these people and allowing them to see more of him, and like total vulnerability in this episode. Here's my subconscious, here's like all of me, all of the layers of me. Who's your favorite, part of the team that we've seen so far?
Ooh. Okay, I think I'm gonna pick one from like the air. I mean, I love Sid and I love Lenny. I think Aubrey Plaza's killing it still, and but I think I really like Bill Irwin, I guess. So I did some research on him, and he's got like a crazy circus background. He's always playing a scientist and everything, so it's no departure that he's playing a scientist here. But I think harkening back to chapter 2, he also was saying a bunch of stuff about like onions and and then his like lab where he was just basically encircling himself with tubes of rats. Like he seems like such an eccentric member of the team, and to be someone existing in that world, which I just put out there that I think is Mirror Island, I think he holds his own without any, or seemingly any, special capabilities. And I think he brings a lot of humor and levity to the situation that went in some really serious scenes, especially when he's being hooked back up to the probes or
the memory
walk
machine.
That after he's made the MRI explode, and he's like, please don't blow this up, please. Like, I don't know. I think he delivers like amazing Bill Irwin timing.
Cool beans. How about you?
I think right now it's a real flip between Sid and then Aubrey's character. And what I really like what they're doing with Aubrey specifically is they're making her so much darker than what I'm used to seeing her as. And what I've seen a lot, she's obviously known for great comedy and is always sarcastic and dark and mellow, but there's more of a comedic edge to it also.
Yeah.
But in this world, it's so challenging and angry and just mocking David. Like when he is strapped up to the machine and they're testing his brain waves, and he is completely catatonic on the outside, but on the inside his brain activity is just firing out. It's because he's speaking with Aubrey's character and they're just going in. I love watching her be that. I love watching her really be aggressive and attack other people in a story. And it's kind of changing the way I looked at her. I've always thought she was a badass and funny, but this kind of makes her a little scary and in a crazy way, like a scary,
totally
crazy
off.
way.
Yeah, for sure. She is ruthless, and I love the scene where she finds an oven and she tries to get drug money by selling an oven.
And is apparently successful, right?
It gets the drug money.
They get the blue vapor, which the blue vapor.
Whoa. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super into that blue dream. Whatever they were doing, it kind of seemed harmless, It definitely seemed like a chemical compound that's not natural. But why, like the set designer, the prop designers, why they chose to make this frog vaporizer device? Like, I don't know. What
Which
was
there
that
is
drug?
a humidifier like that also, on the market.
Oh, okay.
So I
maybe
wasn't
that's
sure
what
if they were
it's
trying
supposed
to.
be.
Yeah,
It looked like a humidifier of some sort, but it's definitely interesting. It's an interesting design.
Just
and
choice. It was a choice.
And the whole show seems to be that. I don't think things are just designed just because it looks cool.
Yeah.
There seems to be a real purpose. I mean, even at the ranch, you look at, there's the X circle and the X window, and it just, every time I see that, I think, X-Men. Every time I see that. And there's just these things that you see that I think are just well placed. There's a reason why you see something through another object.
Which also brings us to like color and lighting and how it's used, and particularly now I think they're also starting to play with color. Like I know there was like a red strobe at one point, and then the moment Sid was introduced, there was a green strobe that happened. So it's now not only is color just like with her bandanas and belts, etc. Or with the red of the oven. I'm still trying to figure out the significance, because some people are saying the red is kind of like a warning that he's about to lose his cool, but then the oven, I feel like, is way, way, way before the kitchen explosion. So I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it.
All right.
In terms of trust, too, and I want to say, I don't know if he fully is on that edge of wanting to trust everybody there, certainly. I mean, he appreciates the help, I think,
Right.
but obviously he wants to go and save his sister. That's his
Right.
number one priority. And he pushes and he says, look, you're going to help me. That has to happen. And they become hesitant in going that far because it's been more and more dangerous. Going one toe-to-toe with the yellow-eyed demon, I think, is starting to scare Bird. And they're
For
realizing
sure.
this
This is something out of our control. Like, we've been able to
Exactly.
control this up until this point. Here's our first dude that's gonna clearly ruffle some feathers. So
And I think that's it with a character like David, who's already on the edge and kind of pushing that envelope. I'm very interested to see how long it takes till real trust starts to happen.
Right.
And because right now, I think it's more like, listen, I don't have a choice. I need you. You need
I love
me.
that. I love that. Another thing that we were talking about, just the choices in this show, aesthetically speaking. I think we mentioned this before in our first episode, but the choice that they've made to not set this in any time period. And then we were
Right.
talking about how perhaps that decision is, are we in the future or the past? It's so that we as the viewer don't lose focus trying to find a time. We're
Right.
watching David's timeline. It's
Yeah.
not, it has nothing to do with time as we know it. It's as he knows it. But I think that's a really cheeky element. So thanks, creators of Legion FX. Hashtag Legion FX. So
I want to say hi to Nicholas Hicks, too, who's saying
yes.
hi. And I like
Hi.
his ideas that the yellow demon could also be his dad.
Ooh, okay.
oh my God, worst dad ever.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But then again, that's the insanity. You know the lore of what Legion is.
So are we saying Professor X is also the other
Yeah.
Like, and what does that mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it's real, but then as a kid, so I'm going to touch on the memories again. As a kid, your memories are completely different. They're dramatic, and all of
Yeah.
those feelings, the angry child in the world, the yellow-eyed demon,
Are
seem to be-
hyperboles for,
seem to be exaggerated memory of, like, of course, as a kid, this is what you remember. It's terrifying. It's scary. It's intense, and to constantly be hit with that again. I think that's what seems to be what they're seeing. It's so
Symbolic of
impactful.
something else, not actually just this like flubber like blob that's like, I'm gonna get you, but not yet. Not in the first episode, but I'm still getting, not in the second, not in the third, but I'm coming for you.
Well, and then so that also feeds to if we were going to go with Nicholas Hicks' idea, then are we also saying that then because on the message boards there's a lot of talk about how if the angriest little boy is maybe dad who ended up killing mom, because there's clearly a lot of the book where we're talking about the fact that he cuts off his mom's head because she said to go to bed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we know that dad
yeah.
dies when he's in the hospital, or does he? He heard it, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But yeah, is dad then a murderer, and he's taking on all these different personas?
There's gonna be a big
Fascinating.
reveal though. Episode 4. We're
At
waiting.
some point.
So, oh yes, and then talking about, so he's going layer by layer through his different levels of consciousness, and then layer by layer we're seeing more of his powers being revealed, just
Right.
different aspects. I mean, this dude is jam-packed. He is a triple threat, or like apparently a quadruple, quintuple, whatever. He can
His
do
powers
anything.
are nearly unlimited. Yeah.
He can do anything. Oh, of course he can. Can we get a female character that can do anything? Could we please? Thank you very much.
Oh, well, and we were talking about the Omega level, and so the only one we were thinking of when we were thinking of who is an Omega level mutant is Jean,
Yeah.
who eventually becomes Phoenix, right?
Exactly, and with his power, like today we saw that he has telekinesis, and that he unleashed that power during one of his rage
Right.
moments. And Bird talked specifically about it happening when he felt trapped, and so he just moved everything, which is fascinating. So now we have telepathy, telekinesis, and it looked like astral projection.
But we're gonna call that a mutant power because I've been trying. Like I try to astral project. It hasn't happened yet, but I still believe that I
And you
can do
should.
it.
You keep believing.
Me and
Yeah.
David.
Brooke, I'm
coming
ready for you to be
boo.
the first Omega level female mutant
Dude, I would
that
kill
doesn't go
it.
evil.
That
yeah.
doesn't go crazy.
It'd be vegan leather outfit. I'd have a super sick cape. Anyways.
But then and teleportation.
Yeah.
That one now that's
Yeah.
just convenient.
That was
And-
cool.
Yeah, and teleportation.
So we had all 4 revealed or affirmed in this
Affirmed
episode,
for-
right?
it's
Because we
easy, yeah.
kind of already had a sense that he had some of these capabilities, and I like that Ptolemy's response to that is like, "Oh, what are you?" Right? Like
Yeah.
the very like mutant to
just
mutant
what-
question. Right?
Yeah. What are you? And that's what's so amazing with this character is that he has all of these abilities, all this power, and it's all pretty much useless because he's so fractured in his mind. Like, I mean, he can't control that. And that's what these stories actually gets really interesting to follow. Is like, this isn't just about a character now and his powers. He's not just a superpowered person. He's a person who has issues, like major mental issues, and you have to work through those things. And it's very interesting to have that. This isn't just a victim either. He's trying to get through these things, but he's so powerful. And that's fascinating. I think that's a really interesting way to look at that mental illness and things like that.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. It brings a whole other story into the picture. And I want to know what you guys at home think. What is your favorite thing?
I'm gonna check
What
my
is your
Twitter.
favorite superpower reveal that you've seen from David so far? And what are you anticipating if you've read the comics or anything like that? What are you waiting for?
Right.
Yeah, man. Let us know. Nicholas Hicks, let me know, baby. I know you watching. I know you watching. Okay, and let's get to the juicy stuff, you guys. This is my favorite point of the entire show. Holy gosh. I love Sid and David and the fact that they can't touch, and it's just like, oh
Right.
my God. Let me
And then
feel
the
your
final payoff with the hug, right? Like it's a beautiful moment where she's hugging the baby David, who is played by like the most adorable kid on the planet.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
they
was
have
so
that beautiful
cool.
moment.
Well, the
yeah.
episode opens with them speaking on the lakeside, right? And them talking about what it was
After
like.
the really hot shower scene.
You're right, after the really hot shower scene.
Yeah,
And
what it
they're-
was like to flip bodies. Yeah.
And they talked about what it was like to play, and I thought that was a really well put together scene. I really enjoyed the flirt. I think I even made a note on that of just a great scene of these two getting closer to each other.
Yeah.
But the fact that, I mean, I think that can't be forgotten, the fact that they've switched bodies. For it to have happened right in the first episode, and for it to really be the whole jumping off point, that's how they got out and everything like that. And then to continue to watch Sid's relationship with David and how she goes into his memories and she can see what he sees. And that is so interesting because now I think it's beyond that. They may not be able to touch physically,
Right.
but now they're connected on a mental level that.
Well, she
That's-
says he says we're having a romance of the mind.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
was like,
yes.
Which is
she was like, ooh, if I
also-
could touch you, you would get it. Like you would get it right now.
Which is also, I feel like, such a possible red herring for, like, does she actually exist? Because the only people that we've really seen giving acknowledgement to Sid as, like, oh, your girlfriend, da-da-da, has been Ptolemy when he mentioned that she was in session with Melanie. I think he said she was in the other room. And like a couple other small moments with the team
Right.
where it seems like maybe she's interacting with Melanie and everyone's like, no, you shouldn't come. So, you know, we have to wonder, are his thoughts being shared? I don't know.
Well, she also wakes them up from the dream as well with the very oddly placed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But
Which-
she's not effective, right?
Because she hits the couch.
Yeah.
She doesn't touch them. She touches the couches and the furniture.
Sid has to be real. We can't take that away.
Well,
from-
that just blew my right there. Just looking at front one, it was looking into her eyes and thinking like, oh my God, Ray, you just said something weird. I'm like, you're right. She didn't touch anybody. So now I'm freaking out.
Ray's coming to
knows.
my side.
Behind it all, anything is possible.
Dang it. I was arguing with Liz all before
He
show
was.
about this.
He was actively
And-
arguing.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see what happens. I want to believe that she's real. I want to believe that they're going to be able to get it on. It's
babies.
very important to me. But let's talk about this final scene because so much happens in
Yeah.
a matter of 3
Yeah.
minutes. And so Sid we're going into the deepest level
Right.
of David's consciousness, and he's totally sedated. Everyone's apparently sedated. And yeah, we see Sid go back and give little baby David a hug, and then all hell breaks loose. And then yeah, you guys chime in.
People are crawling through ducts and running away from the angriest boy in the world who weirdly has a Hitler mustache. And
Right.
Mom and Dad look at Melanie Bird when she's the only one left in there. And so we're also not clear if people can interact with the memories now, which we were told was really not a good thing because it can affect the memories. I just realized we also haven't talked about the fact that the psychologist is probably dead and probably killed by David as well.
But that's right in that memory. I mean, that's right
And so
at the
that's
memory
in
there,
that
right.
block, right? When he's spitting out the tape and
Eating the tape
Yeah.
with blood on his hands.
Yeah.
That was weird.
and then when Melanie Bird gets stuck in the book, right? And so a couple people on message boards apparently took an amazing shot, kudos to you guys, of the page in the book, and there's something about Free Bird, which we think is maybe the book mocking Melanie Bird for getting caught and having her fingers broken in there. And then someone saw it being said, "Are you looking at him? Because he's looking at you," on the page as well. So the book is clearly communicating with the people in David's mind. So now we need to figure out, is that David? Or is that one of his personas that is affecting that stuff in the book?
Right, and that's
trippy.
And that's what's that you're right. In the last 2 minutes or so was so intense, from them having the child hug moment to them really going into the dark side of who David was at that time, where he was a drug addict and he was a junkie, and you know him even talking about that. And you know that's real cool. That's what I'm liking about this show, is that their main character isn't he's not Captain America by any point. And he's not really a great hero. And this is a really damaged person with an immense amount of power and potential. And he's just trying to get his stuff together so he can go and save his sister. I just really love that, which makes me really root for David to get better. But even if he isn't, just to learn to adapt and live life with that, I think is so great. Because he asked that question, you know, maybe everyone says I'm not insane, I'm not messed up, but maybe I am. And is that okay? Is that unique, that difference, an okay thing to have? Can you be okay and still live a life like that and have these powers? Now, enough of that. Going to the memories. Going to the memories. And them talking about that, hitting on the angry child, hitting on the possible murder of the doctor.
Right.
Which I found interesting was the memory in a memory. While they're observing David going through and breaking into this doctor's house, and they see him remembering a conversation he had with the doctor. And then there were these crazy flashbacks of blood and tape footage, and the only one who could see it was Sid. For whatever reason, Sid could see all these changes along with young baby David. And the wall breaks, and all of a sudden these creatures start showing up. They start running around. Why does Sid see these things, but no one else does?
Well, she was following little baby David, but I think more importantly is, why didn't Bird and Ptolemy,
I think?
Ptolemy, not
Ptolemy.
Ptolemy, but Ptolemy.
P-Man.
P-Man, P-Money. But what were they doing during that whole time lapse? Like, they were just like, you know what, actually I will have a cup of tea.
And the fact that he exited when Melanie Bird didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, something important to bring up, which I think we didn't give weight to yet, is what is in the tapes, we think, revealed that David feels like has to be suppressed. And there's something about his repressed memory. We might be talking about our third dead body of the episode. I'm wondering if he killed Philly, the girlfriend Philly.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And especially, like, there's this dark repressed memory. People on the message boards were saying, is that Lenny? Is that Philly? Right? So we're also trying to figure out, like, why is that in the darkest recesses? Because there's something at kitchen time, right? Either it's Lenny or it's David eating the frosting, right? If Lenny is or is not real at that point, or real outside of David's mind. And then, moreover, like, what happens to Philly, right? Because he says something about the steam, right? Which is different than the vapor. He says something about cake. So there's clearly the area of deleted memory is right there. And if you were covering up a murder, it makes sense to go in and break in.
And at every time they get close to that, one of those personas messes it up. Suddenly you can't investigate it. Yellow-eyed demon shows up. The angry child shows up. Those hands coming out of the wall, and just everything just taking a turn. I think his subconscious, and that's what's so cool about this, is that there's so many personality traits in this person's mind, and as you dig into it, they're trapping themselves in what could be potentially a nuclear bomb, you know, and they're poking around in it.
And am I mistaking? Is there a time loop then? Because it seems like he broke into the psychologist's office. So we're thinking the session is right before where he revealed what happened to her, but he clearly rescued the tapes where he was discussing what happened to her later. So is that, are we dealing with non-linear time there? or is it linear and how it's just being presented to us?
It seems as if
Because Legion can time travel, we learn.
Right, exactly. Like that's I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that either. Yeah, I think.
And watching it, and I think that's why we have to keep going and watch that final scene and that final even 5 seconds worth of David sitting in this darkness surrounded by light and people just yelling at him. Is it because this guy has so many voices, so many people inside his head trying to get out, and the whole show seems to be, like you said, the time. We don't know what time it even is.
Especially because Melanie Bird said her husband, Oliver, who now is an espresso machine, got the farm in like the 1940s. So that would put us when? And then we have a modern MRI machine. We have cell phones. So it's, nonlinear time in general. So we might be dealing with maybe Legion's Age of Apocalypse.
I feel like, they're just making up their own rules as far as that goes. They don't want us to follow in a traditional manner. Yeah, let's totally.
I just want to fake Hicks for being on being around the same mind length as me. We were talking about Sid possibly having that psychic connection because they switched bodies.
Amazing. And Michaela Middleton, welcome to the show, baby girl. Make sure you're subscribing to the stream.tv. And I want to give a few social shout outs before we wrap up the show.
Totally.
And to answer Michaela's question, this is Legion we're talking about, which is on FX. It's also available on Hulu if you don't have FX.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so on Twitter, everyone was totally hyping up Legion FX. This, by the way, is the best show that FX has, like the best they've done with ratings so far.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And good for FX. They're doing a great job with this. I think they're just letting the creators create a show that's different.
It's
that's what happens. They're just getting out of it and just do what you guys are trying to do because they're doing fun, fascinating things.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a traditional TV waste of time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is a puzzle and I'm in the middle of solving it.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Twitter we had @UniKana, who said, I did not expect Legion FX to be this scary.
Yeah.
Me either, you guys. Me either, but I'm prepared. And then @Venus Zen said, Legion FX is apparently setting rating milestones for FX. It's a brilliant show and it deserves success.
Yes.
Hear, you guys. Love all of that. If you guys have any comments, make sure that you're sending us those on YouTube right now or on Facebook, or you can find us on Twitter @TheStreamTV. And thank you guys so much for watching the Legion After Show. We'll be back next Wednesday, same place, same time. I'm Brooke Bergstaller.
I'm Liz Finning, and it's next Thursday we'll be seeing you guys.
Oh my God, thank you.
Well, good, because I missed that too. And I'm Ray Holdridge.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Next Thursday.